Hello everyone, this is Jim Ograzinski. So I decided to produce a separate instructional video for the evaluative annotated bibliography assignment. That way it would not dominate a weekly lecture video. Students could watch it at their own leisure. I urge you all to pay close attention. For the annotated bibliography, I ask you to review Chapter 2 of The Curious Researcher, pages 59 and 60. Ballinger does talk about the evaluative bibliography is kind of mirrors what we're doing here, all right? So the purpose is to define the scope and establish the research about a focused topic. Ideally, these sources in your writing and your work here will contribute greatly to your research essay. So, organization. Sources here are organized alphabetically, regardless of the category. Okay, let me say that again. Regardless of the category, when compiling the citations and therefore the annotations, all the sources must be organized alphabetically. So for the annotated bibliography, you should have a minimum of 8 sources, not any more than 10. Okay, at least 1 or 2 sources from each of the 4 categories listed below. So your annotated bibliography is going to begin with an introduction where you write a specific, clearly defined, focusing research question. Let me emphasize this, research question. One question. You should at this particular point be down to one question, followed by a well-crafted paragraph explaining the background information about your interest in this question and its significance to you and the potential readers about your research topic. This element should take up no more than 1/3 of the page. You can single space this. In fact, you can single space most of the annotated bibliography as long as you provide some paragraphs and chunking and formatting of the annotations. That's fine with me, so it's not one large block of text. Okay, the idea here is to utilize some white space to separate portions of your annotated bibliography. Then present your sources organized alphabetically, I say it again, with an MLA citation followed by the annotation. So we'll get to the example in a little bit, but it's a citation, then annotation, citation, then annotation, and so on and so forth. So the first category is published books and articles with annotations. These sources may include the following: books written by one or a few authors, entire edited collections of chapters, essays by different authors, published in book form, or specific chapters or essays from edited collection. Yes, you don't have to cite you cite the book, but you don't have to use the whole book. You can use a specific chapter. Okay. Scholarly, technical, and or scientific articles, if you're able to really understand them. Some of you have some, topics that might really benefit from a scholarly and technical article. Magazines and newspaper articles if they are substantive. So the idea here is that you can go into the library databases. Academic Search Complete will allow you to pull up some magazines and articles, something like The Atlantic or The Guardian or Time, if it's a substantive, if it's one of their features. The New York Times, the Washington Post. Those are what I call major publications that are reputable and credible, and you can rely on their information. All right. So you should strive to contain some research publications from academic databases. This is where you have to stretch yourself academically. 1 or 2 articles that are published from the databases in the Moraine Valley Library would be great. Also, then we move on to the next category, internet sources with annotations. Internet sources are typically unpublished, but often they are sponsored by organizations, businesses, and government. Your .orgs, your .govs. This category is also including blogs, maybe even discussion forums, depending on their origins. In your annotations of web sources, explain your choice for each one based on its credibility and or how it represents an important point in the in point of view related to your focusing question, right? Now, multimedia sources, and I really want to spend a few minutes talking about these last two sources or categories. Multimedia sources. So this category would include documentary films, TED presentations. Yes, before you even, I know you're already thinking, can I use a YouTube video? A YouTube video is acceptable for a source of information. If it's a significant, if it's reputable. Some of you are really writing about Elon Musk, and no. A Joe Rogan interview of Elon Musk and YouTube is not what I consider a reputable source, all right? Then, leading into the next category is living sources, interviews with annotations. So you should really read the pages 67 through 78 in The Curious Researcher. Carefully describe at least one approach you will take to conduct your own original research. This is okay. I usually include field work in here, but because of the pandemic, we just can't do that at this time, right? So this can be an interview, all right? Completed and cited. It has to be completed and cited. Look at page 183 for how to cite a personal interview. Or a survey, completed and tabulated. Right? You can use SurveyMonkey if you want to send it out. It has to be a SurveyMonkey, and I need to verify that it is a SurveyMonkey survey, and it needs to be completed and tabulated. Okay? Please do not include, I'm going to interview somebody. No. Or I'm going to do a survey as part of your 8 sources for the annotated. It will not grade well. That is not, it's not information. I mean, I'm going to do that. Okay, so think about what would be a realistic approach for you, what kinds of people you have access to, and how could you learn something different about your research question in this first-hand way. So you have 4 categories. I expect that if you're not going to use an interview, or your topic isn't really allowing you to use an interview because you might be reading or writing about dead people or old history type issues, I think you have to then move yourself into a more of the published books and articles phase. If you can find some films or TED presentations, that's fine. You can use 1 or 2. You have to have 1 or 2, or just about 2 from every category. So yeah, you can have an interview. You can have 2 multimedia sources. You can have a couple of internet sources, and that means you have to have like 3 substantial articles from category 1 up there, published books and articles. You need 8. It is important that you then, what you don't obtain through 1 category has to be replaced to meet that 8, all right? Also, then after you finish with your 8 sources and annotations, you need 1 to 2 paragraphs where you basically write the conclusion. So there has to be a conclusion there, all right, with a tentative thesis statement. I have the link here to the annotated bibliography example from a past course. I urge you all to take a look at it. I always create this caveat. My examples are student examples. There is no perfect student example. So please, I urge you not to think about mimicking in any way and referring that as gospel. All right, this is just an example to see how one particular student handled the annotated bibliography assignment. All right, so that's the instructions here. I will post a separate instructional video about writing annotations and my expectations for annotations later in the week, or possibly in week number 8 as you pull your sources together. All right. If you have any questions about this, please send me an email. Good luck.